I am not someone who scares easily, and I have never believed in ghost stories. What happened to me began 3 months ago, after I moved into a small rented house on the edge of town. The place was quiet, cheap, and perfect for night shifts. Every evening, I came home tired, ate alone, and went straight to bed. Nothing felt strange at first. The silence was comforting, almost peaceful. On the fourth night, I woke up around a.m. for no reason. The room was dark, and my phone screen showed no missed calls or notifications. I remember feeling unusually alert, as if my body had woken up before my mind. Then I heard it, a slow, steady breathing sound. It wasn't loud, but it was close, very close. I held my breath and listened carefully. The sound seemed to come from the side of my bed, near the floor. I told myself it was my imagination, or maybe air moving through the vents. Still, I didn't move. The breathing continued for nearly a minute before stopping suddenly. The silence afterward felt heavier than the sound itself. The next morning, I checked my room for anything unusual. There were no signs of forced entry, no animals, nothing out of place. I laughed it off and blamed stress. That night, I went to bed again, telling myself it wouldn't happen twice. I was wrong. The second time I heard it, I was awake. I hadn't fallen asleep yet, and the lights were already off. My eyes were closed, but my mind was active, replaying the events of the day. That's when the breathing returned. Slower this time, deeper. It sounded deliberate, controlled, almost patient. I opened my eyes slightly, afraid to turn my head. The room looked exactly the same. Shadows sat quietly in their corners, and the curtains didn't move. The breathing grew louder, as if whatever was making it had leaned closer to me. My heart started pounding so hard that I worried it would give me away. I whispered, "Hello?" The breathing stopped immediately. For a few seconds, there was complete silence. Then I felt something that made my skin crawl. The mattress dipped near my legs, like someone had carefully sat down. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. Every muscle in my body felt locked. The weight stayed there for several seconds before slowly lifting. When it finally ended, I turned on the lights and searched the entire house. I checked every room, every door, every window. Everything was locked. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The following day, I noticed dark circles under my eyes and a constant feeling of being watched. I told no one. I was afraid they would laugh. That night, before sleeping, I placed my phone on record, just in case. The recording started at 1:12 a.m. I remember checking the time before, closing my eyes. Sleep came slowly, and my body felt heavy, like it didn't fully belong to me. I don't know how long I was asleep before the sound woke me again. This time, the breathing was right next to my ear. My phone was still recording. I wanted to reach for it, but my arm wouldn't respond. The breathing turned uneven, almost excited. Then I heard something new, a soft whisper. It wasn't a word I recognized, just a low murmur, like someone practicing speech. My ears rang, and my vision blurred. Suddenly, the whisper became clear. It said my name, perfectly, slowly. I felt fingers brush against my ankle. They were cold, dry, and unmistakably human. Panic rushed through me, and I forced myself to move. The moment I did, the sound vanished. The room went silent, as if nothing had ever been there. I grabbed my phone and stopped the recording. My hands were shaking so badly that I nearly dropped it. I didn't check the audio until morning. When I finally listened, my blood ran cold. The recording captured my breathing, followed by a second set of breaths, deeper, slower. Then, clearly, a voice whispered my name. After that, there was one final sound, a quiet laugh. I didn't go home that night. I stayed at a friend's place and showed him the recording. He tried to stay calm, but I saw the fear in his eyes. He told me it might be a prank, or some kind of audio glitch. Deep down, we both knew that explanation didn't make sense. 2 days later, I returned to the house in daylight to collect my things. The air inside felt thick, like the house itself was holding its breath. As I packed, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Under my bed, scratched into the wooden floor, were shallow markings, lines, circles, symbols I didn't recognize. In the corner of the room, I found an old photograph wedged behind a loose floorboard. It showed the same bedroom, but it looked older. Standing beside the bed was a man who looked exactly like me. Same face, same scar on the eyebrow. On the back of the photo, one sentence was written, "He hears you when you sleep." My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a notification from my voice recorder app. A new file, time-stamped just 5 minutes earlier. I hadn't turned it on. With shaking hands, I pressed play. I heard silence at first, then breathing, then my own voice whispering someone else's name. That was the moment I realized the truth. I was never being watched. I was being replaced. I didn't tell my friend what I heard in that recording. I simply said I was leaving town. That night, I booked a cheap hotel miles away, hoping distance would fix everything. I kept the lights on, the television playing softly, and my phone charging beside me. Sleep felt impossible, but exhaustion eventually won. I woke up to the sound of breathing again. For a moment, I forgot where I was. The hotel room felt unfamiliar, yet the sound was painfully recognizable, slow, calm, patient. I stared at the ceiling, waiting for it to stop. It didn't. Then I felt warmth on my cheek, a breath, not air from the room, but from a mouth. I rolled to my side and saw myself standing next to the bed. Not a reflection, not a dream. It was me, watching with an expressionless face. "You sleep better now," it whispered in my voice. I screamed and fell out of the bed. When I looked again, the room was empty, no sign of anyone else. The hotel staff found nothing on the cameras. They suggested stress, maybe sleep paralysis. I nodded and left without arguing. By morning, my phone gallery was full of photos I hadn't taken. Every image showed me sleeping. Different places, different nights, some locations I had never been to. The timestamps went back years. The last photo was dated tomorrow. I stopped sleeping after that. Coffee replaced rest, and fear replaced exhaustion. Every reflective surface felt dangerous. Mirrors, windows, even dark phone screens made my chest tighten. I avoided looking at my own face for too long. Something felt wrong about it, like it didn't fully belong to me anymore. Messages started appearing on my phone. No sender, just short sentences. "You're fading. I'm learning faster. Soon you can rest." I deleted them, but more came, sometimes with photos attached. Photos of me walking, shopping, sitting alone, taken from angles I couldn't explain. I felt followed even in crowded places. One evening, I returned to the old house. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I wanted proof that I was still real. Inside, the bedroom smelled stale and cold. The symbols under the bed were darker now, deeper, like they had been carved recently. I noticed a calendar on the wall. Every date was crossed out except one, today. Under it, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Final exchange." The breathing started immediately, not from the floor, not beside the bed, from inside my chest. My heartbeat slowed, sinking with it. I felt calm, too calm. A voice formed in my mind, gentle and familiar. "You've done enough," it said. "Let me finish." I don't remember lying down, but suddenly, I was on the bed, staring at the ceiling again. My body felt distant, like I was watching myself from far away. The breathing inside me grew stronger, filling my thoughts. I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. The room changed around me. The walls looked older, cracked, exactly like the photograph I had found. I realized then that this wasn't my first time here. Memories surfaced that didn't feel like mine. A man before me, another before him, all the same face, all the same fear. Each of us had believed we were original. Each of us had been wrong. I felt myself slipping, my thoughts becoming quieter. The thing wearing my body stood up, testing its hands, its voice. It smiled at the mirror and practiced my expressions. "Don't worry," it said softly, "you'll still exist." The floor beneath the bed opened, revealing darkness below. I was pulled downward, not physically, but mentally, like sinking into deep water. The last thing I felt was relief. No more fear, no more running, just silence. When I woke up, I was underneath the bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe unless it allowed me to. Above, I heard footsteps. My footsteps. Someone lay down on the mattress. Someone closed their eyes. And someone began to sleep. The breathing above me was calm now, natural, human. I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't work the same way anymore. I only wake when it sleeps. When it dreams, I remember pieces of my old life slipping away. My name feels distant. My memories feel borrowed. I listen. I always listen. That's my purpose now. Sometimes, it speaks out loud while sleeping. Sometimes, it laughs softly. It has friends, a job, a routine. Everyone believes it's me. And in every way that matters, it is. It learned perfectly. New markings appear on the floor each night. I recognize them now. They aren't warnings. They're instructions. A cycle. Last night, it brought someone home. A guest. I heard their breathing from below, nervous and unsure. I wanted to warn them, to scream, to bang on the floor. I couldn't. I was never meant to. The guest lay down beside it. The lights went out. Silence filled the room. Then I heard the question, "Did you hear that?" It replied calmly, using my voice, "It's probably nothing." The breathing below the bed grew heavier, deeper, patient. I understand now. This house doesn't haunt people. It preserves them, copies them, keeps them going. Soon, the guest will wake up at a m soon. They'll hear breathing near the floor. And soon, I won't be alone anymore.